Hello again, everyone. Simon Says. Scott Simon with you from Las Vegas, Nevada. And we are returning our topics back to travel because a lot of big news has been made in Las Vegas in recent days. And with us is Jay Kersting, and we're going to talk about some new developments that are happening near Fremont Street that we talked about on a previous episode. And you'll just have to listen to this entire podcast because at the end, we'll make an announcement about something Jay's doing now that makes him doubly effective as a travel expert, but you'll have to listen to the end. So, Jay, at the top, Fremont Street making news. I'll let you start out with one of the announcements in recent days of expansion.
Yeah, there's a new resort coming. Do you call it a resort if it's downtown? I don't really know how you classify it, but it's a new development, and we don't normally use, Scott, the term new and downtown together because downtown's known for having a lot of historical properties, such as the El Cortez, the Golden Nugget, and even the Plaza, formerly the Union Plaza. It's just not what we normally put together. So that's what's odd to say, but it's happening, and I think the folks behind the D Resort, Derek Stevens, is coming up with a new interesting concept called Circa, and I'm excited to see this thing get built and join the new Fremont Street area coming in 2020. Coincidentally, 777 rooms. Gee, who saw that coming?
Yeah, nice number.
Right. So they even Derek and Greg Stevens describe it as a new hotel casino, not really a resort. Again, I don't think resort really fits for downtown, but they do offer a lot of resort-like amenities. So it's going to have the biggest sports book in all of Las Vegas upon opening. It's going to have a huge range of restaurants, and kind of like the D, which the only one I can think of, it's going to have a 2-level casino because most casinos, it's all spread out on a single level.
Now it's
really going to have this.
Now I got to ask you a question. You said biggest sports book, and I've seen the property. And I know how big the sports book is at Westgate, which is, I guess that is the biggest sports book in size.
Westgate still lays claim to the biggest sports book. I know Mirage has a good-sized sports book as well as Caesar's Palace, but I think so far Westgate's just the king of that.
I mean, if Circa has the biggest sports book, what is sacrificed in size? Because that block area where the Las Vegas Club was and Glitter Gulch, is decent size, but not super size to accommodate everything of the amenities for Las Vegas. I'm just wondering what's going to be downsized there.
Well, it's a good question, and I'd love to see more of the plans because it's going to have, they call it a stadium-style sports book, so it's obviously going to be multi-leveled, stadium-style seating in there with, I'm assuming, the stations they have for the race side specifically, but with a lot of the changes to sports books over the last couple of years with in-game, in-event betting, I think that's going to be playing into it. So I'm guessing they're really going to go vertical.
Well,
that's the nice thing about downtown is they can do that. They don't have the restrictions that they have down on the Strip.
Well, we do know this.
So it goes to McCarran.
We do know this, that once that sports book is built, it will be bigger than all the sports books downtown combined. That's easy because some of them are so small. And this is supposed to open at the end of next year. Let's go a little north toward downtown Grand. They made some news too lately.
I'm sorry, to where now?
Downtown Grand. They made some.
Oh, yeah, downtown Grand. That's been an interesting property over the years that has really tried to. I don't know how to describe it. It was the old Lady Luck Casino. So several years ago, it had been closed during the Great Recession, and really started to rebrand itself as the Downtown Grand, added a lot of amenities, kind of went to a higher end, and now they're taking it to sort of the next level. What that looks like, I'm trying to still comprehend myself.
More hotel rooms. I guess they're selling out.
Right. They took a decent sized hotel, and they're now going to look to add more rooms. They signed a partnership with a company called Duetto to help drive some revenues as well, taking a more data-driven approach, I guess you'd call it, to the casino side of things. So they're really taking kind of a two-pronged approach. One, adding the rooms, but also adding new ways to manage the casino side as well, which is kind of an area that a lot of the bigger operators have kind of ignored lately. They just kind of have, said, well, we have a good enough approach to the casino. So I look at those as really the two big things for Downtown Grand, is that. So
now you add their rooms, and they're adding about 500 to match what they already have. Then the 777 rooms that are going in at Circa. So that's 1,200 rooms, which is a blip on the screen in terms of the total number of rooms in downtown. But there's a third announcement in recent days of convention expansion closer to downtown than the Strip.
Well, that's it. Let's go to the World Market Center, which, and you've worked there, Scott, so you know better than I do, but it was just kind of a big albatross for a number of years downtown that really didn't drive much. The convention business here in Las Vegas was really at the Las Vegas Convention Center, the Sands Expo, and at the ever-expanding Mandalay Bay. Well, now that's taking on more and more non-furniture-related conventions, because that was really what it was sort of designed for, was to be a big mover and shaker in the furniture business on the West Coast. It's taking on more business, so the drive for more hotel rooms is really, really happening. And I've seen more and more people who are coming in for the work at the conventions down at the World Market Center that are staying downtown versus the rooms on the Strip and dealing with God forbid cabs, or more appropriately in this town, Uber and Lyft. Yeah.
Now the World Market Center, where I worked at twice in 2017. I can tell you this, that the Furniture Expo in the winter and the Home Expo in the summer do about 60,000 people each. And that's a pretty good size convention. Not as big naturally as the Consumer Electronics Show or the concrete convention that we just had. I was really surprised how large that one was, the concrete annual concrete convention. But those two conventions, World Market Center changed hands in, I want to say, August of 2017, and it was bought by a North Carolina company, and I know they wanted to get more into convention-type business since they weren't doing it at their properties in North Carolina. So we'll start seeing that downtown with more hotel rooms. And I think that's it for announcements for downtown, isn't it?
Yeah, for downtown, I mean, you don't really see. I mean, we talked previously about how they're going to be. They are currently doing it. The reworking of the canopy in the LED show. We visited this on an earlier episode, but let's recap for people because they'll be wanting to come to Las Vegas now. But recap for us what they're going to do with the canopy on the Fremont Street Experience. Well, so if you go down there in the middle of the day, there isn't much to see on that canopy because the LED lights in there they've got a little more gap in between them. They're not very bright. So what they're doing now is they're really modernizing it. I mean, excuse the term, it got a little long in the tooth down there. So now they're putting in a brighter array, a tighter, higher definition array of lights on that canopy to really reinvigorate that whole area. And you'll have those shows that happen hourly instead of just happening during the hours of darkness. They'll be happening 24 hours a day. And they may even do things more on the quarter hour. And who knows how they're going to be reworking it. But they are completely redoing that whole canopy. I mean, the physical structure will be the same, but as far as the LED light show, it's going to be much more robust, and it's going to be pretty exciting to see. I can't wait to go back down there when it's done. It'll be brighter. I think they're going to improve the sound system to it as well, which was already pretty solid.
Yeah, it's already pretty solid. Hey, let's recap Circa for a little bit for our listeners that don't know. Talk about their ownership and what they already own downtown.
Right. Derek Stevens and Greg Stevens, they own the D Resort and a couple other properties in the downtown area. The D is the old Fitzgerald's that Derek Stevens kind of themed it. It was kind of cool. I totally respect this guy. He themed it the way he wanted to. He called it the D because D is his nickname, being Derek, is also what they call his hometown, Detroit, the D. And it's got kind of a Detroit feel to it in that it has, there's a few chains of Coney hot dog places in Detroit. Well, they brought one out there and a couple other things that put that. So he basically created this thing after himself. I mean, in a way, you would say it's completely ego-driven, but in a way, it's also that the guy knows what he likes, and he figures if I like it, other people are going to like it. So he did that. And that's why he's taking this next step. He bought all that property, the Las Vegas Club, the Golden Gulch, or Glitter Gulch, I mean, and the, what was the other one? The
Las
one that
Vegas Club.
Las Vegas Club, but there's also that little one, Mermaids, that had the really gross county fair type foods, fried Oreos and stuff. So he knocked all that down and is now building Circa. So it's a nice location, and it's a nice part of the redevelopment. Some people love downtown. Some people don't love downtown, but I think Circa is going to bring a new energy as well as what's happening with the canopy that's going to really make more people take notice to Fremont Street again.
And for people who want to picture where it's at, it's going to be just west of Binion's and south of the Californian Casino, and it's expected to open toward the end of next year. Now, if Derek Stevens really wants to do something that's Detroit related, having lived there for a time and knowing the town, he needs to have a Greek restaurant. He doesn't have that, and they don't call it Greek Town in Detroit for nothing. So we're going to conclude this podcast with a big announcement from Jay. Something new. He's been doing it now for about 3 months, but it doubly makes him effective as a travel expert, so I'll let you tell us what you're doing now.
Well, a few months ago, I left the hospitality industry, sort of a mutual decision between my employer and myself. I'm not gonna shy away from that. I was miserable. I wasn't getting the chance to advance. So when offered a chance to escape with a severance package, I took it and decided to chase down something that's been a lifelong interest of mine, and that is a career in aviation. I had applied with several different airlines and other aviation-related companies, and I got on with the company, and I'm not going to speak on their behalf. I'm just going to tell you who they are and what they do. The company's called Jet Suite X, and Jet Suite X is kind of a hybrid between an airline and a charter. To explain the business model, basically, as a company, they run routes currently only between 5 permanent destinations and one seasonal. Well, no, 2 seasonals. Plus, we're going to be expanding the company throughout this year. But they run 30-passenger Embraer ERJ, Embraer Regional Jet 135 aircraft, 30 passengers on scheduled service between places like Las Vegas, Burbank, Oakland, Santa Ana, and Concord, California, kind of the gateway to Napa. And then seasonal routes to Mammoth Lakes or Mammoth Mountain, whatever you want to call it, for the ski season. And then we'll be doing a short seasonal to the Coachella Valley for the Coachella Music Festival. And it's interesting in that we fly in and out of the private air terminals rather than have to deal with the TSA. And I'll give you a great example, Scott. Obviously, as an employee, I've flown on a few occasions, and recently, back in December, actually, I flew down to Burbank to spend a couple days with my son as he was making a movie. I checked in at 9:15, boarded the plane at 9:35. We took off at 9:45 to 9:50, and I was on the ground in Burbank with my rental car keys in hand by 10:30.
Wow. Very cool.
Now, think about that for a second. If you've only ever flown in the last 18 years with the ever-popular Transportation Security Administration impeding your ability. If I wanted to go to Burbank, I would have had to got to the airport at 9:15, and the flight might have left by 10:30. So really what JetSuiteX is competing with, and if you look at the rates, you can go to the website at jetsuitex.com for those of you out on the West Coast or traveling on the West Coast. You'll see that our airfare is quite comparable to people like Southwest. And the service is a level much above. I mean, very comfortable seats. Like I said, the planes that we use are normally designed for holding 37 passengers. We stripped out 2 rows of seats to make it only 30, so we have more leg room. So a guy like me who's 6'3" is very comfortable on those planes.
All right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in future episodes, but what's the company website?
It is jetsuitex.com.
Folks, look it up. Jay, thanks for being with us on another travel episode. I need to tell you that the episode that we did early last fall, our first one on travel, second most listened to podcast on Simon Says Stories.
There we go.
All right. And we're going to have Steve Oslika back in the future, too, to talk about travel. My name's Scott Simon of Simon Says. Thanks for joining us to recap this episode with Jay Kersting. Some new developments coming into downtown. 1, the Stevens brothers are opening up Circa. That's a new hotel, resort, and casino complex in downtown Las Vegas, scheduled open toward the end of next year. Downtown Grand is building more hotel rooms, about 500 of them. That's expected to open up toward the end of next year as well. And the World Market Center, west of downtown, is getting into the convention business more by building a brand new building right by the Smith Center and the World Market Center that will open up in a couple of years. And Jay, as he said, now works in the travel industry in the airline business. JetSuiteX.com is what you want to look for his airline. So thanks for listening for our travel episode. Steve Oslika will be back with us in the future. And Jay, well, we're going to feature an interview that he did with his son. He mentioned it a little bit here on the podcast, is that he did an interview with his son, Alex, who's going to be in an upcoming movie. Mira Sorvino's in this movie. Michael T. Williamson's in this movie. And Alex, as young as he is getting a starring role in this movie. And we're going to put that interview that Jay did with his son on the podcast coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So until then, from Las Vegas, Nevada, hope you enjoyed our travel episode. Please subscribe and share with your friends. I'm Scott Simon. Simon Says, from the greatest city in the world, Las Vegas, Nevada.